That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, if I'm reading today, let me see. Yesterday, we were talking about Francois Legault saying, he engineered this entire deal with the doctors just the way he had planned to, which was to basically have a few hundred decide to leave, and now, of course, bring them back to the negotiating table. And today, is he talking about the specialists as well?
He's sort of like backhanding that, it looks like we're close. It's going to be about money. The thing is, and as I said, when we were talking about this perceived deal with the general practitioners, with the family doctors, the fact of the matter is, he's basically going back on everything he said. We're going to get tough. No government has ever been able to bring the doctors to heel when it comes to how they're being paid. This is ridiculous. Blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden, he's absolutely crashed and burned. And he's being very sort of forthright, saying, spinning this as a triumph, Aaron, in these year-end interviews that he's doing, because let's face it, he's got to do something. He's got to do something. The house is not just on fire; it's burning. It's falling down now. It's collapsing. And the idea that, and I love how he's saying, well, no, we're going to have a deal, and Lionel Carmel will be able to come back into cabinet. Lionel Carmel, who is a pediatric neurologist, who was also the minister responsible for social affairs. It's just such a mess. It's like he's sitting in the middle of a completely scrapped car, saying, "What a race that was." I was happy to see the checkered flag. Yeah, it's like this guy is completely out of options, and you have to wonder what else he's going to take credit for between now and New Year's, because it's just. But on the other hand, everyone's kind of shrugging, everyone's kind of rolling their eyes. It's not going to move the needle for the polls. But once again, like I say, we're in crazy land. It's like a failure is spun as a success, and aren't you guys lucky I was here to pull this one out of the fire? It's getting very, very, very silly. And when you consider the context of everything else that's going on up in Quebec City right now, I despair, Aaron, for the new year, because even those potentially horrible 10 months between January 1st and the provincial general election, God knows what will happen. And I've said this before on the show, how much damage will this government do between now and then, and how much of it can actually be repaired?
It is, as I hear you say that, Jim, it is like this idea of, look, I broke it, but don't worry, now I fixed it. That's what we have from this particular premier. So, all right, that's what's happening as far as he's concerned. Of course, front page, or now the Montreal this morning, the bad news for Pablo just keeps getting worse and worse.
Oh, man. And I got to tell you right now, La Presse, in the finance tradition of dueling newspapers, La Presse has decided to report that what they say is the identity of the businessman who hosted a fundraiser that was attended by Pablo Rodriguez, right, and who claims that who admits rather that I was at home, I'll do what I want. This is how he's being quoted in the press article. I'm not going to name him, but the thing is, he's a businessman. And he's a supporter of Pablo Rodriguez, and he was such a supporter of Pablo Rodriguez, he decided that he would give employees $500 of his money, to donate, or they would donate, and then he would just simply, reimburse them. It's the old straw man thing, which, last I heard, I think is illegal, Aaron. But here's the thing: the Journal reports this morning, and we're waiting. Oh, what's he going to say now? What is he going to say now? What's Mr. Rodriguez? And I thought for sure that today was the day. I almost, because I think a lot of our listeners know I send you a little list and first thing, in the afternoon and what we're going to talk about. And I almost put a thing saying, listen, if Pablo announces, all bets are off. But the thing, I didn't put it in. And what happens is he turns around and he says, aha! I'm shocked, I tell you, to discover this was going on. I am filing a complaint with the Director General of Elections and with UPAC. And the question now, Aaron, the main question is, how long is it going to be before the Quebec Liberal Party takes this matter in hand and finds a way, how can I put it, to part company with Pablo Rodriguez? And the other question is, and just in the more immediate, and I'm not trying to be flip here, but tomorrow's another day, Aaron. What else will we find out that Pablo Rodriguez didn't know about? What else will we find out that that you would think think he would know. I'm not going to dispute that he's saying he had no idea. He was there. He had no idea. We don't do things this way. But when you sort of like stack, there's in a civil lawsuit, there's the whole idea of circumstantial evidence, which can also give weight to a decision. Well, I think if you're a liberal organizer, if you're the head of the Liberal Party, you're going to be looking at all this saying, listen, this can't go on. This simply can't go on. And we don't know. The one report we haven't seen, the one leak we haven't seen, is whether indeed anyone in charge of the Liberal Party has sat down with Mr. Rodriguez and said, listen, you know what? This ain't working, okay? But the fact of the matter is, this cannot endure, Aaron. Never mind, trying to salvage their chances for the next election, trying to salvage their chances even to be the official opposition for the next election. The fact is, the party now, even though everyone and their dog is saying nobody's bigger than the party, the party, like Francois Legault's government, is on fire and it's crumbling, and something has to be done very, very quickly because the party already had a branding problem. The party has already had an issue with the perception of corruption that has spanned generations in this province, Aaron. We're going back to the days of Robert Bourassa, but the fact is, something has got to be done. You cannot bluff your way through. You cannot turn around and say, I'm going to file a complaint. I had no idea about this, and let's move on. Nothing to see here. There's plenty to see. And the thing is, the sad thing to say is that you and I think a lot of our listeners are figuring, well, we'll be seeing something else tomorrow, because it never seems to have stopped. It's been a daily occurrence for about a full 3 weeks now, and it's just gotten completely out of hand. The whole party, this whole story is leaking like a sieve, and it seems that Mr. Rodriguez is saying, okay, don't worry, I'm going to hang on. I don't think that's in the cards, and I think now the office pool is going to be, how long is it going to be before the Liberal Party itself takes this matter in hand and deals with it?
So, Jim, I want to run this by you because for people who might, like I am wondering now, the latest story is, right, on Pablo, a businessman who's obviously a supporter, convenes a party in his home, invites employees, invites Pablo to speak, etc., and he decides, this gentleman, on his own, to go ahead and give people who made a contribution, and I'm guessing from what I've read, these are his employees, to give them back the $500 that he, I guess, suggested at one time they make a contribution of. So in essence, it cost them nothing. The rules are not broken because you can't make a donation above, a certain amount. What he did as a private individual, that's against the law. If you pay someone back, not a party person, just someone who, I'm a fan of Pablo Rodriguez. I want to do what I can to support. I know my employees are not going to give him $500, so I'll just get them to write out a check and I'll give them the money back. That's illegal, right?
I don't have the Elections Act in front of me, but every report that I've seen thus far says that unless the money comes from you, it's illegal.
Okay.
And this was a big thing. And I remember this when we were covering, back in the day, we were covering Charbonneau. And that was the whole thing, right? These people would show up at these fundraisers, whether it was at somebody's home or whether it was at a hall or whatever, and money, I love this guy, blah, 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 blah. And then it turns out it wasn't their money. It was like a few people just basically, oiling the machine, and that was the thing. And but as I say, even if all of this is true, and I've got to give Mr. Rodriguez the benefit of the doubt. I have to presume that he is acting in good faith. But even if all of this is on the up and up as far as he's concerned, the damage is done. And I've said this before. Is it fair? No. But you know what? Politics isn't fair. Right. And right now, as he keeps saying, no one's bigger than the party. So if Mauro Rizki is not bigger than the party, if the rank and file or some of the people right now who are circulating petitions for his leadership to be reviewed is not bigger, I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't know, because and how this is not some guy that they draft out of the private sector who's never worked a day in his life as a politician. Right. This guy's been a politician for decades, Aaron. He knows how this rodeo plays out. And he also knows, I think, when your avenues. So my question is, my subsidiary question, my first question obviously is what will Pablo Rodriguez not know about tomorrow? But also, why is he doing? I cannot understand what the motivation is. It's not a matter of saying, it's wrong, I didn't do anything. It's like in a chess game. If you're about to be checkmated, you don't turn around and say, well, no, this is not fair. I refuse to recognize the outcome. This is the way this thing is pulling together. And what's it going to take?
Yeah.
And Aaron, I got to tell you, because a lot of people say, people are going to be discussing this over their holiday dinners. I don't think so. I've been doing this all my life. I don't know about you, buddy. All my holiday dinners, we talked about, what a jerk our relatives were. We never talked about politics. But in this particular instance, I'll bet you full of money that there's going to be a bunch of people, especially among our listenership, who are going to be sitting down saying, do you believe what's happening with the Liberals? Can you believe what's going on? This is the crazy part of it. This is the new horizon. This is the new face of the Liberal Party, which, meets the new boss, same as the old boss, and we're back again. And the news will perpetually be bad. The clouds will always be dark for the foreseeable future for the Liberal Party of Quebec.
I can only guess, I got to wrap up, that the one thing, if I had to imagine, Pablo's, decision-making process now, the only thing I can think of is he is waiting for someone, and I guess in this case, UPAC, to come back to say he is not guilty, he did not know, and then he somehow feels vindicated. That's the only thing I think he could be waiting for, but that could take months. And until then, the news is only going to get worse and worse every day.
And listen, I think we have some indication of how sausages are made. I would respectfully submit that in many cases, nothing against the journalists at La Presse or the Journal, but I think to a certain extent the calls are coming from inside the house, Aaron. Yeah. There's leaks coming in from the Liberal Party. There's got to be. These things are not just happening. They're not springing out of the earth like mushrooms. People are calling in and they're leaking, and obviously we're just going to see this grow exponentially. Yeah. So really,
you're right.
Stop it now.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.